When stories of criminal minds are recounted, few cases are as chilling and disturbing as that of Waneta Hoyt, a seemingly ordinary mother from upstate New York. Hoyt shocked the world when she confessed to the horrifying crimes she committed against her children for 6 years. Her actions and the subsequent legal proceedings shed light on the dark depths of human nature and the incomprehensible evil that can exist within a seemingly ordinary person. Born in 1946, Waneta Hoyt experienced an upbringing that appeared outwardly normal, not indicating the darkness that would later consume her life. Growing up in upstate New York, she was raised in a typical family environment. As a young woman, she met and fell in love with Tim Hoyt in high school, and the couple married in 1962. Together, they embarked on a journey of starting a family with hopes and dreams of a joyous and fulfilling life. Like many couples, they eagerly anticipated the arrival of their first child, a joyous event often celebrated with great anticipation and excitement. Their first child, a son named Eric, was born in 1965. The young couple reveled in the joys of parenthood, cherishing every moment with their newborn. However, their happiness would soon be shattered by a devastating tragedy. Just shy of his 3-month birthday, Eric inexplicably passed away, leaving the Hoyts devastated and bewildered. Undeterred by this heartbreaking loss, Waneta and Tim continued to expand their family. Over the next few years, they welcomed 4 more children into their lives: Julianne, born in 1968, James, born in 1968, Molly Maria, born in 1970, and Noah, born in 1971. The Hoyts seemed like an ordinary family, embracing the challenges and joys that come with raising children. During this period, Waneta Hoyt's demeanor and behavior showed no overt signs of the darkness that lay hidden within her. To friends, family, and neighbors, she seemed like an ordinary and devoted mother, committed to providing a loving home for her children. However, behind the facade of normalcy, a tragedy of unimaginable proportions would soon unfold. The idyllic image of the Hoyt family would be shattered, leaving a trail of sorrow and a dark legacy that would haunt all those touched by the events to come. The transformation from a seemingly ordinary mother to a perpetrator of unspeakable acts would cast a disturbing light on the depths of human depravity, forever altering the perception of maternal love and protection. Between 1965 and 1971, tragedy struck the Hoyt family with devastating frequency. Over the course of 6 years, Waneta and Tim Hoyt experienced the heart-wrenching loss of 5 of their children. Each child died suddenly, and the cause was initially attributed to sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS. These inexplicable deaths sent shockwaves through their close-knit community, eliciting an outpouring of sympathy and support for the grieving parents. It was said that at one of the funerals, she sobbed with great voice to the point that she had to be helped away from the soil at the graveside. The Hoyts' pain seemed unfathomable, and they were regarded with compassion and understanding by those who believed they had experienced an unimaginable string of misfortune. Her first child, Eric, was born on the 26th of January, 1965, and died at only 3 months and 10 days. Her second child, Julie, died at 1 month, 17 days. The third child seemed to live longer than the others, but lived for only 2 years and 4 months before the tragedy struck again. The fourth and fifth children died at 2 months, 18 days, and 2 months, 19 days, respectively. The emergence of this tragic pattern within the Hoyt family brought suspicion among medical professionals. Dr. Alfred Steinschneider, a medical examiner, noticed an alarmingly high number of SIDS cases associated with the Hoyts. This unusual clustering of deaths prompted him to question whether there was a deeper, more sinister explanation behind these seemingly random tragedies. Driven by his concerns, Dr. Steinschneider thoroughly investigated the Hoyt family's history of SIDS cases. A chilling revelation came to light as he delved deeper. Waneta Hoyt was the common denominator in all 5 deaths. This discovery was met with disbelief, as it shattered the perception of a grieving mother and exposed the possibility of a far more sinister motive. Under the mounting weight of suspicion and pressure from the investigation, Waneta Hoyt eventually confessed to the unthinkable. She admitted to smothering her 5 children, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the nation, leaving many grappling with the profound question of how a mother could commit such unspeakable acts of betrayal against her own flesh and blood. As the legal proceedings began, the full extent of the tragedy emerged, unraveling the layers of deception and devastation concealed behind closed doors. Waneta Hoyt's confession on March 24th, 1994, thrust her into the spotlight and paved the way for a highly publicized trial that captivated the nation. When she offered the details of how she killed her children, she said, "They just kept crying and crying, and I just kept squeezing and squeezing." When she was interrogated by the authorities about her reason for killing her first child, Eric, she said, "He was crying at the time, and I wanted him to stop. I held a pillow. It might have been a sofa throw pillow over his face while I was sitting on the couch. I don't remember if he struggled or not, but he did bleed from the mouth and nose." Unfazed, Waneta went on to explain how she murdered Julie, her second child. "I held her nose and mouth over my shoulder until she stopped struggling," she said while explaining how she did it. There was no sense of guilt or remorse as she recounted each event. She went on to explain how and why she took the life of James, the one child who managed to live longer than the others. In her words, "I was in the bathroom getting dressed and he wanted to come in. He came in and I made him go out. He started crying, 'Mommy, Mommy.' I wanted him to stop crying for me, so I used a bath towel to smother him." When asked about how Molly, her fourth child, was smothered, she said, "She was just home from the hospital overnight and she was crying in her crib. I used a pillow that was in her crib to smother her. After she was dead, I called Mom Hoyt, Tim's mother, and Dr. Steinschneider." From her confession about the fifth child, it seemed as if she was just tired of having her kids around. This child didn't need to cry to get smothered. In her own words, "I held a baby pillow over his face until he was dead. I then called for Mom Hoyt and Dr. Steinschneider. I remember it was a hot day in July." During her trial, she faced 10 counts of murder stemming from the deliberate smothering of each of her 5 children. The evidence presented against her was overwhelming, with her confession serving as a damning testimony to her heinous acts. During the trial in 1995, Waneta Hoyt's defense team sought to explore potential mitigating factors, including her mental state and the possibility of diminished capacity. Dr. Charles Patrick Ewing, an expert hired by her, said, "It is my conclusion that her statement to the police on that day was not made knowingly, and it was not made voluntarily." He also diagnosed the defense with dependent and avoidant personality disorder. However, the weight of the evidence and the magnitude of her crimes proved insurmountable, leaving little room for sympathy or leniency. Ultimately, the jury delivered a guilty verdict in 1995, holding her accountable for the deaths of her innocent children. In her signed confession, she said, "I feel that if I had got help from them, it would have prevented me from killing the rest of my children. I feel that I am a good person, but I know that I did wrong." Regardless, her husband Tim did not believe it, even after she confessed to him. He even believed that she was told what to say and she was innocent of whatever the court accused her of. He even told her that he still loved her. If that's not unconditional love, I don't know what it is. The judge sentenced Waneta Hoyt to 75 years in prison, 15 years for each child, ensuring she would spend the rest of her life behind bars for her unfathomable actions. This verdict sent a resounding message that such acts of maternal filicide would not be tolerated, and justice would be served for the innocent lives lost. After this confession and sentencing, none of the Hoyts were seen in public as they all tried to keep a low profile. Waneta died in prison 4 years after her apprehension in 1994 from pancreatic cancer. After her death, she was exonerated by the New York law because she died before her appeal was ever heard. The impact of Waneta Hoyt's case extended beyond the confines of the courtroom. It sparked a renewed focus on child welfare policies and the broader understanding of sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. The shocking revelation that a mother systematically murdered her children under the guise of SIDS shattered the perception that SIDS was an entirely natural and unavoidable tragedy. Waneta Hoyt's case serves as a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity and the importance of safeguarding the most vulnerable members of society. Her heinous crime shattered the notion of a mother's unconditional love and raised troubling questions about the limits of our understanding of human behavior. That will be all for this video. If you enjoyed watching, please like, share, and subscribe because there's a lot more where this came from, here at the Murder Encyclopedia.